Okay, so I'm assuming a lot of you clicked on this video because you saw the ending of One Bedroom and have questions about what it all means. Like, so what now? Why did she smile? Why did she run? And is she going to be on the run forever now that we find out that the community is everywhere? And I'll be going over all of this in this video, so keep watching to find out. Right, so first off, before we get into the nitty-gritty details, I just want to first talk about the backstory of how this movie came to be from an interview clip with the director himself, David Marmer.
The genesis of it really was my own personal experiences when I moved to Los Angeles in my 20s. Very much like Sarah, kind of pursuing a dream, but also very lonely and isolated and kind of alienated. And I moved into an apartment complex and I didn't know anybody, and I found it to be a very weird world where you're, packed in with all sorts of people and you don't really know any of them. And so that got my wheels turning, and that was really the beginning of it.
The reason why I showed you the clip of the interview is because I think the community is kind of like a symbolism of starting a new life in LA and how it's not as it seems from the outside looking in. We got our main character, Sarah, who recently moved for a fresh start to LA and is trying to look at new apartments in this complex. And upon her first visit there, the complex looks very organized, everyone who lived there was warm enough, and she even got a good-looking, seemingly nice neighbor that she was flirting with. Everything was basically great, just as how everything about LA looks cool and attractive to tourists and newcomers. That is of course until you really live there and the city starts to unveil its real skin, just as the community starts to show their true nature, but obviously in a more horror, thriller, movie sadistic way. When Sarah started to show signs that she wasn't conforming into the community rules, the community started to send her threatening letters, kidnapped her, nailed her hands into the walls, forced her to curse out her father or threatened to kill him, and even murdered her cat by baking it in the oven. And long story short, we find out that this wasn't like a random targeted torture plan against her, because as it turns out, all of the community members have experienced this at some point when they first moved in. And so, after learning all this, we began to see Sarah slowly but surely understanding and accepting the community way of life, until the community accepts her into the family. But surprise, surprise, she was actually only pretending to be brainwashed and finally in the end managed to escape and free herself from the community. But the twist was, after running away from her apartment complex into another complex area, she noticed that this complex also had a community symbol in their complex plate. And there was also this red warning alarm similar to her old complex's alarm that was alerting the fact that she had escaped, and the alarm went off not only in this complex but also was in most of the complexes surrounding the entire street. And with that, it was as if a switch had flipped in Sarah's mind as she gives us an unsettling smile and ran away. My theory, as I mentioned earlier in the video, is that the people in the community is like a personification of Los Angeles. With new people wanting a simple fresh start in a city, who started off as their true, albeit vulnerable individual selves, until they were exploited into the perfect polished versions of how LA demands them to be. And as for the twist of Sarah smiling and running as the alarm blazed off, I see that as her realizing that she can't quite escape the gripping control of the community, but at least for now she has the backbone to survive and refuse submission. In all honesty, the general idea of wanting to create a community of people with genuine connections and are willing to help one another is great. But the practice of achieving this community objective is sinister as hell. Like, they will stop at nothing to brainwash and condition you into their way of life, until you conform to their ideals of a perfect member of their community. But overall, I think this movie was pretty solid, and with the ending and how the story was framed, I think there's definitely an interesting possibility for the creators to develop a sequel for us to dive further into what would happen to Sarah now that she's under a new threat due to our recent discovery that the community is essentially a network controlling most of LA housings, and also who are the people watching over the entire interconnected community network, as was questioned by Sarah in the CCTV room scene. And yeah, that's it for this video. Hope you like it and find it helpful. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.